In 10 minutes here on Anglia, there's comedy in Brother's Keeper.
Hello, good evening. There are reports of another outbreak of swine fever in the region. It's believed to be at Hempnall near Long Stratton in Norfolk. An announcement is expected tomorrow morning. A care worker who conned a pensioner out of her life savings has been sentenced to 4.5 years. Julie Tooley from East Winch near Kings Lynn stole more than £50,000 from 79-year-old Amy Reynolds. Malcolm Robertson reports.
It was her last day of freedom. Just as she'd done throughout her trial, Julie Tooley arrived at court concealing her identity. But this is the face of the woman who swindled a frail pensioner out of her life savings. She was supposed to be caring for Amy Reynolds and her husband. Instead, she was duping them out of more than £50,000. Tooley had already been convicted of stealing the money. Today, she was jailed for 4.5 years, which included 6 months for a separate charge of stealing photographs and postcards from Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds. The judge, Daniel Worsley, said it was a crime that outraged the community, a betrayal of the increasing number of people up and down the country who care for the elderly. He described Tooley as a rotten apple. Prison, he said, would drive home the message that easy pickings can't be touched. Tooley was employed by Flagship Care and Support, who are contracted to Norfolk County Council. Today, the council's social services sought to reassure people receiving care.
I would urge people who have any suspicions of a carer, and that will be very unusual. It's a very unusual case, but people should make sure that they contact either the police or social services, and investigations will be undertaken.
Amy Reynolds thought Tooley was helping her move money from one account to another. Instead, she took her to the Swaffham branch of the Norwich and Peterborough Building Society and persuaded her to transfer more than £50,000 into an account Tooley had in her daughter's name.
There are absolutely thousands of home care staff across the region doing wonderful work, very important work. This is an unusual example.
Tooley's family and friends left the court without commenting on the sentence. Her barrister said the money had been used for her children, 2 of whom had serious health problems. Sending Tooley to prison, the judge acknowledged it would mean great hardship for her family, but he said it was an appalling breach of trust, which had to be reflected with a substantial jail sentence. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News, Norwich Crown Court.
The parents of a missing teenager who disappeared in Norwich last month said today that they believe their son is still alive. Police fear 21-year-old James Toms from Whiton near Wells may have fallen into the River Wensum after a night out. Rebecca Holmes reports.
Linda and Michael Toms' son James disappeared just over 2 weeks ago after a night out in Norwich. As time slips by, their fears grow.
Really, you feel very empty and perhaps a little bitter, and you don't really believe it's going to happen to yourselves, and you hear about other people, but it really hits you hard.
James from Whiton near Wells was last seen on Thursday the 19th of October outside Time nightclub in Norwich. This CCTV video shows the 21-year-old being refused entry to the club by bouncers. He then walks off alone in the direction of Norwich Station. Police fear that James has drowned, but after numerous searches of the River Wensum, they've found nothing.
We disagree that he's drowned in the river. We still think he's alive somewhere, and somebody has seen him somewhere.
But Michael and Linda Toms know that leaving home without word is out of character for their son. And as the days go by, their hopes are fading. Rebecca Holmes, Anglia News, Whiton.
There's a historic weekend lined up in football. Bobby Robson's going head-to-head with Ipswich Town for the first time since he left Portman Road to become England manager in 1982. For George Burley, it's his first encounter against his ex-boss, who he played under for 9 years. Donovan Blake reports.
A date with Prime Minister Tony Blair, an unusual way for Newcastle manager Bobby Robson to prepare for tomorrow's game against his old club Ipswich. Robson spent 13 years at Portman Road, guiding them through arguably the most exciting period of the club's history, and he admits it's more than just another game for him.
There's a bit of meat in it for me. Obviously, I don't work for them anymore. It was my baby for a long time. You know, I passed the baby on, the baby's grown up, it's in the hands of somebody else. I'll always will treasure it and cherish it, but I've left it there now and it's going well, and I'm, living in another castle.
It'll be a special yet strange occasion for the current Ipswich manager George Burley. For the first time, he pits his wits against the man who moulded his playing career at Ipswich, and he hopes to match what Robson achieved there.
Bobby built the club from the early 70s and pushed it into Europe and winning the UEFA Cup and FA Cup. And I think as a manager you've got to look to do that, and things don't happen overnight. You're looking for a continual improvement, and I feel that's happened over the last 5 or 6 years at Ipswich.
So a sentimental journey for George Burley and co, who'll be bidding for their 4th straight away win against one of the town's most famous sons. Donovan Blake, Anglia News.
Finally, a new group has been launched in Essex to provide support for officers from ethnic minorities. The Essex Black Police Association held its first meeting today in Chelmsford. The group wants to see more officers recruited from ethnic groups. That's the news. Goodbye.
Good evening. Mainly dry tonight, just the odd shower possible over the North Norfolk coast. Lows down to 3 degrees inland. Still the chance of a scattered shower in the north tomorrow morning, but most places it's dry and bright with lots of sunshine breaking through. Dry and sunny everywhere in the afternoon. Gentle winds in the south, more breezy in the north. 10 or 11 the high, the low 50s Fahrenheit. And after a dry start on Sunday, it looks like becoming a wet and wild bonfire night. That's the late night forecast. Enjoy your weekend. Good night.